All right, people, let's see if we can fix this. I'm pretty sure, and all of a sudden I have an excellent connection. I have no idea what that was a minute ago. And now we're back. Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just ran through on that live every single thing that could have gone wrong, and none of it was wrong. I shut down the stream, I opened it up again. Excellent connection. I've got nothing. I have no idea what that was. But we're back up and running, so that is good. Everything seems fine on my end. And now we just got to wait for Biden to come in for 3 more minutes. So if you guys are just catching it, I'll trim up to this point because the rest was kind of trash. We are going to watch the Biden make or break moment. This is his final press conference, or maybe when it's first of a new turning leaf. You never know. But bottom line, this is like his Custer's last stand. This is Biden's last stand of a press conference. So we're going to watch it together. And hopefully the stream doesn't act a fool again. But I'm glad we are 5x5. I'm sorry that popped off a minute ago because we had like 1,000 people in here and then the stream stopped working, which is highly annoying. I'm going to be honest with you. But it's okay. We're not going to let that stop us. All right. In theory says we're 5x5. So that's good. So as you guys filter in, please let me know if we're still 5x5, if everything is working. Good stuff. You guys are coming back in. Awesome. Yeah, guys, if you're just now getting back in, I'm sorry the stream was so bad, dude. I have no idea why it did that, but the connection just dropped. It was weird. Now we're good. Okay, good. Everyone's coming back in 5x5 for now. That is fair. That is very fair. I genuinely cannot tell you what in the world that was. But, you know, luckily Biden pushed it back another 25 minutes, and that didn't happen midstream, or mid-speech. So that's good. Was YouTube messing with me? I honestly have no idea. I can honestly tell you I have no idea what that was. I'm pretty familiar with tech. And that was a very weird aberration. It's up now. It's good to go. Thank you guys so much. It has not started yet. It's got 1 minute and 46 seconds. I got the live ticker going just so I can keep on refreshing it for you. So it's not going just yet. Everyone's getting in. I love it. Thank you guys so much for tuning back in. Incredible. You guys are awesome. Really sorry that didn't work out. But yeah, that was odd. That's funny. They're giving him some more Adderall. That's fantastic. You guys are awesome. Man, I really, really want to know what that was. I have no idea why that stopped feeding it. I really think that was on YouTube's side. But hopefully it doesn't happen again. So, as we get in here, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. This is try 2 of the stream of Biden's last stand, his press conference to save his career and presidency and Democrats across the board and down ballot. Yeah, let's get it. I'm excited. Looks like we got less than a minute. We're just waiting for him to start the streaming. Good to see me back. Thank you guys. We had 1,000 people in this live stream, and then YouTube decided to, act a fool. That's annoying. Oh, well. That's okay. That's okay, because we are back. We are cruising. We're going to watch us some Biden. Remember, guys, what we're waiting here, we are literally waiting on either a collapse or a resuscitation to barely breathing. That's really what we're waiting on right here. If this goes poorly, the Democrats are going to throw him under all the buses that they can find. And it says that CNN's just waiting for the feeds. Let's see. Oh, man. We need Biden to run. Hot Rod, that's an astute point. Biden polls really badly, but what's really interesting is all the other people poll worse. That's the crazy part, and that's why this is so important for us to maintain here. Man, it really stinks that those people we lost those people coming back. They'll come back in time. We will be okay. I got my big boy pants on for the big boy press conference. See, you guys are always on it. You know what's up. Yeah, still an excellent connection. Guys, make sure that you like and share the video out to recover from that, because that's really unfortunate that we lost the momentum we had. But now that we're here, I would like to really bring something forward. The chat is disabled for this live stream, which I think is funny. Oh, goodness gracious. Could you imagine the chat on the CNN feed? Oh, my gosh. The lefties would be all up in there losing their minds. All right, so everyone's back. Everyone's getting in here. That's awesome. Bye-bye, Biden. David Vickers. I don't know. We're going to see. That's what we're here for. That's what everyone in the country is waiting for. It's probably why my stream just crashed, because everyone's waiting for it. This is the moment. You didn't get a notice on the new live. That's probably because it counted as the old one, most likely. Take a drink every time he says listen. Yeah, that's true. He does say that way too much. I am going to just check with other streams, make sure that I'm not missing one. Guys, we're literally just sitting here waiting. Happening soon, yeah. Yay. This is so bad. Biden addresses nation. Let's see here. Yeah, it's from Kamala Harris in North Carolina. Those are the feeds I'm seeing. Nobody wants to see that. We're certainly not going to see that. Yeah, the White House is... I'm going to open the White House on another tab and mute it because gross. All right, so I will use that as my barometer. Welcome back, you guys. If you missed the original startup stream, yeah, we kind of had a stream crash. But we're still cruising an excellent connection now. So we are up and running. Make sure you tell everybody. Because this one right here, this is going to be a big one. I'm not... Stream looks good. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened earlier, guys. That sucks. I hate when things don't work right. I'm not joking is something he's going to say a lot. I don't know if he's going to say I'm not joking versus not a joke, because he does say that a lot. And that is really kind of annoying. He's finishing his ice cream cone. I dig it. Still an excellent connection. I swear to you, that was YouTube just going, nah, I don't want to. Oh, you silly YouTubers. All right, so far it seems better. Everything's good to go. Okay, so this is an interesting one. Rob puts out here, Biden will drop out. So what's fascinating about that, I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know as we're going through this and just waiting on him to start talking. If he drops out, that's only 3 months to rally a whole new candidate, to rally a whole new fundraising, to do all sorts of things, new brand recognition, new statement releases. That's a lot to happen in a very short amount of time. I don't know if they'll do it. My stance has always been, and I'm not backing off of it, that my gut is they'll leave him in and they just accept the fact that they're not going to win. I could be completely wrong, and I could be backed off that by watching what happens. I don't know, but I don't know. It seems like a very big ask just for a kick in the teeth, to be honest. Tons of channels were live streaming it all at the same time. Squires, that's totally possible. That is totally possible. If he drops out, who will be the new person? I have no idea. I have no idea at all. I'm giving a good thought for Uncle Bozy right now. They're changing his big boy pull-ups for the big boy meeting, for the big boy press conference. You guys are absolutely correct. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes, still excellent connection. It's crazy. The cannibals. Yeah, didn't they eat his uncle? Didn't they say that? Or didn't he say that? All right, so here's some interesting stuff. They said, Squire says they'll drop him and put in Kamala. That will help. I don't think it will help, honestly. The polling does not indicate that it will help. So we'll see. I gotta go back in there and trim out that beginning stuff. That wasn't a good intro. Ugh. But we are still here now, so I think he's gonna get escorted out, warm or cold. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be the elites. Oh, that's a good angle. I'm gonna blame the elite, says Spartan. He beat Medicare. We beat Medicare. Yeah, you did beat Medicare. Thanks for that, Joe. Oh, that was so good. Love my channel. Mark, thank you very much. You love my channel even when YouTube doesn't stream it and it just interrupts the feed like a noob. I appreciate you. She has a worse number than him. Yes, she does. ABC's trying to say Kamala Harris is polling better than Trump. Yeah, they can try to say that all they want. She's not polling better than he is. How about a VP? I have no idea who the VP is going to be. Dr. Jill's running the show. Well, if Dr. Jill is running the show, she is late. So I'm just going to be like that. You guys are funny. All right, so now, literally, guys, so just so you know, and for context, they had this originally scheduled at 5:30 Eastern Time. Then they backed it up to 6:30 Eastern Time, and now they've backed it up to around 7 Eastern Time. So they've backed it up consistently, and I don't know if that bodes well, but hey, we'll see. I did not see that, Matt. Joe's not stepping down, right, Dr. Jill? I think Dr. Jill's gonna keep pushing him. I mean, if you look at this from and right now we're just spitballing, so this is all conjecture, so don't hold me to this. But right now, if you look at the odds of them winning with someone else, with like pulling a switcheroo, it's very unlikely, and they know that, or they would have done it already. So, I don't know. It feels like they're going to take an L. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to show you the polling that's from Real Clear Politics real quick. What I'm showing you right here is all of the swing states. So, I mean, like, when you're looking at that right there, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, all heavily lean red. The overall aggregate is 47.5 to 43.5. I don't know, guys. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to squeak that one out. Yeah, I'm still waiting on it here. All right, welcome in, guys. I'm glad you guys are coming back in after that snafu of YouTube streaming. He's being set up. Big Boy's a no-show. Big Boy is a no-show so far. Big Boy's a no-show for his Big Boy press conference, as Karine Jean-Pierre says. Man, I'm really bummed out that the stream died. We had a good momentum going. That's why I did it 30 minutes before. Man, bummer. It's okay. It's okay, guys. They better hurry. He's only got an hour till 8 p.m. But Wampus, you're absolutely correct. He does have a bedtime, and he can't schedule anything after 8, and he does need more rest, and we're getting close. Running the clock down. I like that, Wampus. You always smarten up. We got a super chat from HBO Match. Joe straight up introduced Zelensky. Oh,
no living.
I've got another commercial.
Never eat processed food for every single meal.
I hate
of their
this
life.
commercial. Biden's last. Amped up after nap time. I have no idea what that is. There's the same little tiny child woman thing. White House is not streaming yet. Cruella's about to go out on stage. That's hilarious. Just so you guys know, still have an excellent connection, but YouTube, something's definitely happening on YouTube's end, because over here on the little browser feed, it's like a minute and a half behind. So this is not something on my end. That's a YouTube thing. They be tripping. TS Hobbies and Things, $2 super chat for here's the subbing again, 4th time in 2 weeks. That's commitment, and I appreciate you. All right, that woman's just standing there. That's actually the back of her head. She's not the Ring, that little woman from the Ring. That's intro music to the World War II military training film. I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, we're on a phone call. So is the president coming? Is he like, is the flag in the right place? We really need to look good for this. Can you imagine what's on the phone? Like, so the flag is good? It's not good? March of the Toy Soldiers, Biden Soldiers. Mike, you with a super chat. Thank you, sir. Still an excellent connection. Okay, I'm correcting. We're like 2 minutes behind on YouTube's interface. Holy crap. I might as well just close that over there. Are we at war? I hope not. That'd be unfortunate. All right, so that one is just going to keep the body double. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, the White House isn't up. No better place to make that call. Right in front of the CNN screen. What's up? All right, so Biden is literally just late. I mean, that's just okay. How many White House aides and reps does it take to fix a flag? Maybe this is the problem. They don't even know they're being streamed being dumb. Good Lord. They trying to hide the delay. That's funny. Late is really bad. Yeah, Donald, it is really bad. When you're talking about, like, you know, being prompt and sharp and on it, being late by an hour and a half isn't ideal. YouTube trying to protect its boy Blue. Still have an excellent connection. It's just lagging like crazy. It's like 3 minutes now. That's insane. But I got a live feed over here, and I'm talking to you guys. Watching the live stream on Fox, the power nap. He may have gotten lost. He probably did get lost. They're clearing all the falling hazards. You guys are savages today. I'm here for it. And by the way, guys, if you were just now returning, YouTube is acting a fool, not me. My stream earlier when it shut down, that was not my fault. Not look good on resume being late. You are correct. Oh, we are moving the flag now. Thank God. I was really concerned. Where's that flag going to be when Biden short circuits? I want to know, because that flag on the left, we're going to be watching that flag, guys. If that flag's not in the right place, it's that flag's fault. They forgot to charge Joe's batteries. You guys are awesome. I love that you guys came back. 765 people after a recovery loss of 1,000 because the YouTube algo was not putting up, not holding the stream. Apparently a lot of people across the world want to watch this, and I appreciate you guys, every one of you, for watching. Double microphone with a bunch of White House aides fixing a flag on the left. Apparently the flag on the right is golden, but the flag on the left, we really got to look at that. A lot of them, and we need 9 of them, because flags are hard. They are taking their time, Mateo. You are 100%. You are keeping it 100 per usual. By the way, I keep on checking this to make sure my computer's not overheating and it wasn't on my end, and it's not. It is so laggy on YouTube's end. That is crazy. Maybe she should have that person call her again. I mean, like, they are really being meticulous about this phone. I mean, this flag phone, you know. Okay. Oh, there's a guy behind it, though. Look at that. Look at that guy just sneaking around. Look at him. Maybe we should look at it from the back. Guys, this is our government in action right here. Just want to throw that out there. 820. How many lefties does it take to fix a flag? Well, we've seen 5. So maybe we're at the bottom of the barrel. I don't know. Let's see if the military music's still on. The March of the Biden Soldiers. Ooh. Little Indiana Jones vibe to that one. I'm still killing it. Doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Build Back Better. Fox News about 15 seconds ahead of the CNN stream. Cool. Our tax dollars. That's right, Nathan. That's absolutely correct. And I appreciate you guys, by the way, tuning back in after the crash. The crash. White House still slacking. The browser tab analogy was awesome. It's hilarious. That's so funny. Was that the music from Hook? It does. Oh, the short little gremlin is back. We're just gonna narrate the gremlin, Flag Gremlin. That's her name. Flag Gremlin with a phone. My God, it's a flag. It looks great. Sweet. Look, maybe if we counted from 1 to 4. And what about this right one? Should we move this right one? Maybe, am I wearing the right thing? God almighty. Stop with the flag. Yep, I got the White House stream too. We will begin shortly. If by shortly you mean 9 years from now, good Lord. They're puzzled by the flag only having 3 colors. That's true. They're used to having 2, right? Red and yellow. Hail, comrade. Get it? Communism. Wow. Oh, we've got a new one. We have a new aid. Our tax stamps at work. Thank you for the super chat, Ash. Oh, what fun this is. I will tell you what. Really focused on this flag, though. The flag game. He shat himself. The drugs haven't kicked in. I support it. I support it. He must be finishing his ice cream. This is so embarrassing. It's like, come on, guys. Can we just talk about this? Biden's like, Jill, I might not be president after tonight. We know. Like, we're fully aware. All right. I'm tired of waiting on this, staring at this stupid flag. Not the flag itself. Those individual flags and the fixers. I love me some flag. The American flag. But the bottom line here, guys, just to kind of set the tone, I know I've been making fun of them, but if this goes poorly, Biden's done. Flat out. Democrats are watching this. Apparently the entire planet is watching this because the streams are just going crazy. If this goes badly, everything's going to be scrutinized. They're going to be asking questions. This is going to be a big boy conference. So the press is going to be there to punch them right in the nose what the Democrats are bailing on you. Do you believe you can do it? Can you beat Trump? The polls are telling you it's really bad. Or do you really think you have the stamina? It's going to be a lot of that. Because it's not going to be about NATO. This is going to be about, hey, are you dead? It's pretty much what it's going to be about. Super chat. We got to think. Thanks. VSO Gun Channel. Oh, man. Do I watch this or my own premiere? Definitely this. That's an easy decision. Or you could open up 2 tabs because we're going to be staring at 2 flags for 9 years because Biden is changing his batteries. So that works too. Oh, goodness. Excellent connection. It's just 9 years behind. No big deal. Yeah, the ice cream has melted. That's true. I'm checking all the different feeds, and guys, we still have nothing from the other feeds either. So, we're just going to sit here and wait on Biden to be back. This might be his last stand. I'm getting pretty close to thinking this is his last stand. Doing lines with Hunter. You mean like parking lot lines? Like painting them? That's must have been what you meant. I got you. Fox says 20 more minutes? All right, well, if it's 20 more minutes, I got a CNN clip I can show you guys. Because, dang. At the VSO Gun Channel is Langley Outdoors Academy brother. We're not actually related. We just look alike. Kind of got that Haggard thing going on for both of us. The last prop up. Can we go with that? All right, so if Fox is doing that, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to show you this. I'm going to turn the audio on this one. If he starts talking, I'm going to let him interrupt me this once. But I want to show you something else. They were figuring out why the flag wasn't rainbow colored. That's true. That might be true. There's only 3 colors. It's weird. It's a little offensive to them, I guess. All right, so let me get you into this because I want to show you something. I was trying to do this on the earlier feed, but they're like, killing it. Let me get back to this guy, this little guy right here. Let's try this again while we wait on Biden because I want you guys to hear this part. This is pretty crazy from CNN earlier.
Jessica, the fact that the Democratic leader in the House, he's not saying shut this down. He's saying this is an ongoing conversation. Nancy Pelosi is saying this is a decision that Joe Biden still needs to make, despite him saying he's made his decision. Those are senior Democratic leaders in the party telling the president they're not done discussing this yet.
And that was a big point that we had talked about before the stream went to crap on the first time. This is kind of like if you've ever had a relationship with anybody and they go, here's your 2 choices. And it's like, do you want a piece of ice cream or do you want a brownie? And you go, I don't know, I'm leaning towards brownie. And they go, well, make the right decision. Do you want ice cream or brownie? And you go, I want a brownie. They go, okay, well, make the right decision. I look forward to hearing your decision. That's kind of what we're dealing with right now, right? So the Democrats have heard Biden say multiple times, I'm staying in. And every single leader has gone, well, we look forward to your decision. He's got time to make it. And Biden's over here like, I made it like 10 times. That's a big thing. That is a big thing. I mean, it's a big freaking deal that they do that. All right, let me continue with this CNN clip while we do some airtime here.
One of the factors in the initial reporting about Biden deciding to stay in that might sway him had to do with polling. And we actually got a new poll from ABC News and the Washington Post, and it shows that Trump and Biden, at least nationally, are in a pretty close race. Well, with
Doesn't get closer than that.
Yeah, that's it.
So how do you read that poll in light of other polls in the context that we're getting that in battleground states, there's some slippage?
Well, first of all,
Slippage.
it is true that I think in the totality of the national polling, if you compare pre-debate to post-debate, you can see this when we average polls together in our poll of polls, there is a bit of difference. There has been some slippage, even nationally, if you average all the polls together for Biden pre-debate. Look here, our current poll of polls now, 49% for Donald Trump, 45% for Joe Biden. It was a little closer than that. I think it was 2-point spread, not a 4-point spread. But so a little bit of slippage for Biden nationally when you average the polls together.
Missing the photo of the podium. That's hilarious. All right, so Deep Sea here is bringing up some interesting points. You guys are all hilarious, by the way. I really love working with you guys. Oh, we zoomed out. This is crazy. All right, so what CNN is going for here, and this is a pretty interesting thing, right? So the White House is going to go, look, it's 46-46. Look at this one poll. It's easy. We're winning. Go team. And then when they go down and look at the other aggregate of all the polls, like, for example, let me show you the swing states, like I showed you earlier. All of those are going heavily towards Trump. The aggregate of swing states is 47-43. Like, it's a little different than they're representing, but even then, let me just check them real quick. Yeah. But even then, you're talking about CNN calling him out. Like, whoever was on CNN made the decision to go after Biden. They made it, and they're doing it. Listen to this.
Certainly what we're hearing out of battleground states and in competitive House districts, not just in Senate races, is a concern about the president's numbers, and that's what Democrats are expressing in the White House. That 46-46 in today's poll, that is what Joe Biden and his team are going to point to, saying, guys, this has not changed the top line. It's the numbers underneath that, though, in that poll, that they're not likely to tell. Two-thirds of Americans say he needs to step down
Watch
as
this.
the candidate. A majority of Biden supporters in that poll, say he should step down and not be the nominee.
Okay, so I'm just going to set up camp on this a second. I'm just going to keep on tracking the podiums because, oh, guys, there was a lot more flags. There was 8 flags. All right. This is from Democrats. In the exact same poll that we just showed you where they said it was 46-46, this is in the same poll. 67% don't want him to be the nominee. 62 Dems don't, and 54% of Biden's don't. You don't recover from this. But don't worry, guys. They're going to get up there, and Biden's going to save everything and say, look, I'm not a paraplegic. I mean, this is insane. And if you guys are just now getting in here, we are waiting on Biden. He is once again dragging his shuffles. And we're just sitting here waiting. We've seen people adjusting flags. We've had YouTube crash on us. We've had all sorts of adventures together today. But this is going to be it right here. Beretta Vandy said, I heard New York is in play as a swing state now. That was some reporting. I'm not going to hang my hat on that, I'm going to be honest, but that is some reporting. And you believe they're actually tied? Of course I don't. No! I just showed you the Real Clear Politics aggregate polls. They're not tied at all. I just don't know if New York is actually going to go red. That's all. I mean, the House seats in New York that aren't usually red will, but I don't know if the others will. Kevin Maloney with a super chat. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you. Kevin Collins says, Joe is... Actually, this is a fun game. You guys tell me in the chat while we're waiting on Shuffles to get out here. Do you think he's going to stay or do you think he's going to go? What do you guys think? I'm really curious. He went to the wrong press room. He's giving his speech to an empty room. That's great. But I'm really curious what you guys think about this because leave it in the chat over there. But it's not tied at all. I mean, like, at all. He'll stay. He will stay. He'll go. Stay. I hope he stays. Facts. Gone, stay, gone. He's not quitting, stay. It looks like stay's a majority. I think he's going to stay. He's going to be a no-show. Oh, Nathan, you like shuffles? I'm going to call him that from now on. He'll stay. He's leaving, go. That's actually, I mean, that's like 60-40. That's actually, you know what, guys? Let's get crazy and use YouTube tools. I'm going to do a poll. I'm going to make it official. Let's start a poll. Does he stay or leave? All right, I put the poll up. It's official. You guys let me know in the poll. And once you guys get all those in there, I will go ahead and tell you what you guys all think. I'll share it with you. I'm actually curious what this poll says. All right, we got 1,000 back from the earlier shenanigans when YouTube just choked. I appreciate all of you guys for showing up again because don't worry, Biden's still not here. They've pushed it back now from 5:30 Eastern time to 7, and we are coming quickly on 7:30 Eastern time. So starting out great, starting out really great. All right, let's see here. We're screwed either way. The man would never give up his power. Elias, that's interesting. Tesla says they won't let him stay. Staying helps Trump. I completely agree. Oh, hold on. JD thinks he's going to announce his resignation tonight during the live. If that happens, I know what I'm covering all tomorrow because that would change everything. Now, this is actually a really good time while you guys are still doing that poll. I'll close it when he starts talking or whatever. But if you guys saw my video earlier today, the live election updates where they were saying that the White House is assessing if Vice President Harris can take on Trump. Think that's a coincidence? Go over something else on New York Times exactly the same time. The headline is, I was all the way at the bottom. Some Biden advisors are discussing how to convince him to step aside. Guys, I mean, it's spicy time. I mean, flat out. If he truly does it tonight at a NATO event, that'd be kind of, I don't know. That would be like a splash right there. That'd be like, guys, it's been really fun, but I'm out. It's bedtime. Well, so this is a press conference, right? So this isn't necessarily him just announcing something about F-16s or anything. All right, so I'm going to let the poll keep going. I'm really curious. Pushed out using the 25th Amendment. So, Mike, here's an interesting thing about that. The 25th Amendment is so difficult to use. I don't think that's happening. You need a lot of members of the cabinet. You need members of Congress. You need members of the House, of the Senate, of the House. I just don't think that's going to happen. Not in 3 months from the election. They'll probably just take away his keys and put him in an office for 3 months. That's probably what will happen. And everyone, Kamala Harris will start being like the acting president or whatever. I just don't think we're going to get 25th Amendment on this one. What about Kamala? That's a good question. Kamala, she has a little bit more youth, but she's very hated. Like, people do not like Kamala, like, flat out. They do not. Put him in an office for 3 months. I mean, he's been in a basement for 3 years. That's true. Hot Rod says that means he is unfit now and has been unfit for how long? You are absolutely correct. You guys are always on it. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Turn and face people, stop. Is that to me or to Biden? I don't know. Whoa, can't say that one, Derek. Oh, this is a good one. Grok's channel. This is smart. I just wish the Republicans would hush. No reason to come out talking about the 25th. Grok is 100% correct. All they got to do is let them destroy themselves. There is zero reason to get involved. If you're a Republican watching this, you don't have a need to get involved. Let them do their thing. Let it all happen. Because the last thing you want to do is get in the way of them destroying themselves, because that is where the gold happens. James Vetter nailed it. Yeah, seriously, if everyone would just be quiet, then they would destroy themselves. 100%. I'm like, have we gotten a life pulse check on Biden? Because, like, where's Shuffles? Jill announces she's running to save Hunter. That is the best one yet. Third, nice job. I like that. All right, 1,100 of you tuning in, guys. Thank you. Oh, hold on. We've got notes. We have life. Signs of life. Is that Anthony DiNozzo from whatever show that was? With Gibbs and Ziva? Wasn't NCIS. NCIS, yeah, NCIS. Enjoy the show, friends. Oh, here we go. It's just notes on how to get back to the podium. You guys are savages, and I'm here for it. You guys are awesome. Getting ready to turn on his AI. That is hilarious. So, what are they waiting on? Why do they do that? They know that they are in trouble politically with this guy. And now they're going to make him, or allow him to be an hour and a half to 2 hours late? That's good. Getting really close to your bedtime? Another ad? No, you get out of here. That ad is not making any noise. That's not promising. The Ooh, that's a good super chat. Hold on, let me read that real quick. The Republicans used the federal law, Section 12, him for a mandatory 3-day mental health evaluation that is enforced by law enforcement and an emergency medical technician and can be interfered. But I don't know. Like I said, I think you just let them roll. I mean, honestly, just let them keep on rolling in their own poop. I mean, that's honestly what's happening right now. Oh, we have standing. I think they turned off the audio. Are you kidding me? Here we go.
Thank you. Please be seated. Well, good evening. We just concluded this year's NATO summit, and the consensus among the members was it was a great success. It was especially momentous because it represented the 75th year of the most important military defense alliance in the world's history of the world. We should never forget that NATO grew out of the wreckage of World War II, the most destructive war in history. The idea was to create an alliance of free and democratic nations that would commit themselves to a compact of collective defense. Standing together, they knew we'd all be safer. An attack on one would be treated as an attack on all. And it's worked because a would-be aggressor knows if they attack one of us, they'll be attacked by all of us. Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression and prevent wars in the first place. For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening when Putin invaded Ukraine. Some of the oldest and deepest fears in Europe roared back to life, because once again, a murderous madman was on the march. But this time, no one cowered in appeasement, especially the United States. We collected intelligence that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine months before the invasion. I directed the intelligence community to be a significant amount of intelligence be declassified so I could start building an international coalition to oppose the invasion. Then in February, some of you remember, I warned the world that the invasion was imminent. I rallied a coalition of 50 nations from Europe to Asia to help Ukraine defend itself. Many foreign policy experts thought, as Putin amassed Russian forces just 100 miles north of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, but Putin thought it was the mother home of Russia. The capital would fall in less than a week. But the Ukrainian people, backed by a coalition to help build, stopped them. Today, Kyiv still stands, and NATO stands stronger than it has ever been. During the week of this summit, several heads of states made it a point in their statements to thank the United States and to thank me personally for all that NATO has achieved. NATO is not only stronger, NATO is bigger because we led the charge to bring in Finland and Sweden into the alliance, and it makes a gigantic difference. Excuse me. Meanwhile, My predecessor has made it clear he has no commitment to NATO. He's made it clear that he would feel no obligation to honor Article 5. He's already told Putin, and I quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." In fact, the day after Putin invaded Ukraine, here's what he said. It was genius. It was wonderful. Some of you forgot that, but that's exactly what he said. But I made it clear, a strong NATO is essential to American security. And I believe the obligation of Article 5 is sacred. And I would remind all Americans, Article 5 is invoked only once in NATO's long history.
There's two.
And that was to defend America after 9/11. I made it clear that I will not bow down to Putin. I will not walk away from Ukraine. I will keep NATO strong. That's exactly what we did, and exactly what we'll continue to do.
Now we're waiting for the
Now,
questions. That's what we're waiting
The
on.
future of American policy is up to the American people. This is much more than a political question. It's more than that. It's a national security issue. Don't reduce this to the usual testament that people talk about, issues of being a political campaign. It's far too important. It's about the world we live in for decades to come. Every American must ask herself or himself, is the world safer with NATO? Are you safer? Is your family safer? I believe the American people know. The answer to all those questions is yes. And I believe the American people understand that America is stronger because of our alliances. I believe the American consensus from Truman to Reagan to me still holds today. America cannot retreat from the world. We must lead the world. We're an indispensable nation, as Madeleine Albright wrote. Now let me turn to three other key issues. Just this morning, we had a great economic report showing inflation is down. Overall prices fell last month.
This is a campaign speech.
Core inflation is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Prices are falling for cars, appliances, and airfares. Grocery prices have fallen since the start of the year. We're going to keep working to take down corporate greed to bring those prices down further.
Corporate greed.
Meanwhile, Trump's calling for a 10% tariff on everything Americans buy, including food from overseas, vegetables,
they're
and
so
other
in trouble.
necessities. And economists tell us that that would cost the average American working family another $2,500 a year. It's a tax of $2,500 a year.
Wrong
Second,
notes folder.
our efforts to secure the border, southern border, is working. After Trump killed the bipartisan effort to secure the border, Republicans and Democrats had worked on, because he thought it would benefit me and make him a loser, Republicans walked away.
What?
So I took executive action last month. As a consequence, working with Mexico,
This is a train wreck.
border encounters have gone down over 50%. The current level is lower today than when Trump left office.
What?
Third, for months, the United States has been working to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, to bring the hostages home, to create a path for peace and stability in the Middle East. 6 weeks ago, I laid out a detailed plan in writing,
In writing.
endorsed by the UN Security Council, the G7. That framework is now agreed on by both Israel and Hamas. So I sent my team to the region to hammer out the details. These are difficult, complex issues. There's still gaps to close. We're making progress. The trend is positive, and I'm determined to get this deal done and bring an end to this war, which should end now. Let me conclude where I began.
Your
We're the
basement?
United States of America. We are the indispensable nation. Our leadership matters.
Come
Our
on.
partnerships matter.
Give me the questions.
This moment matters. We must rise to meet it. With that, I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here.
Oh, God.
Reuters, Jeff Mason.
Who's going to do it?
Mr. President, your political future has hung over the NATO summit a little bit this
There it
week.
is.
Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside. Reuters is reporting tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of
Oh,
the ticket?
snap.
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one.
But I'm still president.
The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Secondly, the idea,
See the way he's looking
I
down?
served in the Senate a long time. The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now,
Oh, the whispers.
later in the campaign. So there's a long way to go in this campaign.
Trump for
And
VP.
so
That's it.
I'm just going to keep moving.
Woo!
Keep moving, and because look, I got more work to do. We got more work to finish. There's so much. We made so much progress. Think about it. Think about where we are economically relative to the rest of the world. Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs.
This is what you're waiting
1.5
on.
million I mean, so things are moving.
Right there, right
We got
there.
more
See
to
that?
go. Working class people still need help. Corporate greed is still large. Their prices, the corporate profits have doubled
Boom. He-
since the pandemic.
First question.
They're coming down.
He's
And so
axed.
I'm optimistic about where things are going.
That's all they needed. He's axed. My opinion now. He's done.
Danny Kemp, AFP.
VP Trump, and then yeah, he's toast.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you about your, you mixed up Presidents Zelensky and Putin earlier today. And you now have sort of your key allies,
Why is he
including the
laughing?
British Prime Minister, the President of France, the German Chancellor having to step in and make excuses for you on that. And officials here are saying off the record that your decline has become noticeable.
Oh,
Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference? Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think?
Oh, he's so angry.
And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, here, I mean, Putin, I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky.
Oh my God.
And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys, the idea anybody suggests
This is why we streamed it right here. Right here.
we haven't had an incredibly successful conference.
Done.
How many times did you hear in that conference, I know it sounds too self-serving, but other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden,
So
because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is well, anyway.
oh my God.
I thought it was the most successful conference I've attended in a long time, and find me
He's
a
done.
world
He-
leader who
I
didn't
know what I'm
think he
doing
was.
tomorrow. He's gone. He's
Next
toast.
one. Sorry, Nancy Cordes.
So the way
CBS.
he's looking down and whispering his
Thank
body
you, Mr.
language, they're going to hit that
President.
hard.
You mentioned other instances in history where presidents have faced a challenge, but what makes this moment in history so unique is that it is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision to stay in the race. It's your friends, supporters, people who think you've done a great job over the past 4 years. Have you spent time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you stay in the race, despite the concerns that voters say they have, and you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is unfit to return to the Oval Office?
Well, look, I'm not in this for my legacy.
Okay.
I'm in this to complete the job I started. As you recall, understandably,
Yeah, he's
Many of
gone.
you and many economists thought my initial initiatives that I put forward can't do that. It's going to cause inflation. Things are going to skyrocket. The debt's going to go up.
He knows there's inflation, right?
What are you hearing now from mainstream economists? 16 economic Nobel laureates said I've done a hell of a job.
16
Under my
Nobel
plans
lawyers?
so far, and what's going to happen in the future if I'm reelected, that things are going to get much better. Our economy is growing. I was determined when I got elected to stop the trickle-down economic theory. That if the wealthy did very well, everybody else would do well. My dad was a well-read, decent guy. I don't remember much trickling down on his kitchen table.
Ugh.
Middle-class people and working-class people need help. And so what
He's
happened is
gone.
I decided to was able to implement as president what I believed when I was a senator. And that is
Good
that
night.
the way to build this economy is from the middle out and the bottom up. That way we grow the economy. And the wealthy still do very well. They do fine. And guess what? Find me an economist, a mainstream economist who said we haven't done well. What have we not done? that
See his
isn't
face
working
right now?
And so we got
Boom.
more to do though. We got to finish the job. And by the way, I come from the corporate state of the world. Delaware has more corporations registered in Delaware than every other state in the nation combined.
Oh, God.
I'm not anti-corporate, but corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. Doubled. It's time things get back in order a little bit. It's time, for example, if I'm reelected, we're going to make sure that rents are kept at 5% increase of corporate rents for apartments and the like and homes are limited to 5%. We're going to make a lot of changes that I've been talking about because we're going to continue to grow this economy. And by the way, remember how I got so roundly criticized for being so pro-union, not labor, union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history. Not a joke. And guess
Not
what?
a joke. There it was. Who had that
We
one?
had the Treasury Department do a study. When unions do better, everybody does better.
Oh, my God.
Everybody does better. And we talk about how, for example, remember when we talked about getting the computer chip industry back in the United States? Used to be 40% of the industry. We invented the chip. 40% of the industry is in the United States. And former presidents decided that the best way to do it is find the cheapest labor in the world, send the product over there and import what the product was. And so what did I do?
We don't
I
know.
was told not to go over to to Asia.
Oh, my
including
God.
Europe,
It's so
Asia.
bad.
I remember going to South Korea, convincing them to invest $20 billion in the United States to build computer chip factories. And I asked why when they finally decided to do it. And the answer was because you have the safest economy in the world and you have the best workers in the world. So the whole idea here is we've invested, there's over $50 billion in investment in computer chip manufacturing just coming in the bean. None of you thought that would happen.
Stop whispering.
None of you thought that would happen. But it's happening. It's happening. And it's going to grow economies. All three, and by the way, red states and blue states. Manufacturers as much in red states as blue states. I've made no distinction. So my generic point is that the idea that
What?
we can't continue to build and grow the economy, make it fairer. Like I said, from my standpoint, when the middle class does well, that's when the whole economy grows. The poor have a shot, the wealthy do well, but the wealthy got to start paying their taxes.
He's gone.
Your
He
Vice
is
President Kamala Harris
absolutely
would be
gone.
ready to serve on day one. Can you elaborate on that? What is it about her attributes and her accomplishments over the last 4 years that make her ready to serve on day one if necessary?
First of all, the way she's handled the issue of freedom of women's bodies to have control over their bodies. Secondly, her ability to handle almost any issue on the board. This was a hell of a prosecutor. She was a first-rate person, and in the Senate, she was really good. I wouldn't have picked her unless I thought she was qualified to be president.
Oh.
From the very beginning. I made no bones about that. She is qualified to be president. That's why I picked her.
This is so bad. This is
Felicia Schwartz,
This is
Financial Times.
so bad.
Thank you, Mr. President. Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
The limits I've acknowledged I have?
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true. Look, what I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more. And I said, for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff, instead of starting the fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock. People get to go home by 10 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, and if you looked at my schedule since I made that stupid mistake in the campaign, in the debate,
Oh God.
I mean, my schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball? I mean, look, he's done virtually nothing. And I have, I don't know how many, don't hold me to it, roughly 20 major events. Some with thousands of people showing up. And so I just think it's better. I always have an inclination, whether I was playing sports or doing politics, just to keep going, not stop. I just gotta just pace myself a little more. Pace myself.
Just gotta pace
And
myself.
the next debate, I'm not gonna be traveling into 15 time zones a week before.
12 days before.
Anyway,
Oh my God.
That's what it was about.
This is so bad.
That's
It
what
hurts.
about. And
It
by the
hurts
way,
is
even with
correct.
that, I love my staff, but they add things all the time. At the very end, I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway,
No way did he just say that.
I'm sorry. Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. President.
no.
Two questions for you. First, on the NATO summit, President Zelensky, in your meeting with him, he pressed you to lift your limitations on the Ukrainian use of American weapons, saying that, in his public remarks afterwards, saying that Ukraine cannot win the war unless those limitations are lifted. Are you reconsidering your position on that? And then secondly, following up on Felicia's question there, leaders of your own party have said that they're not worried about that debate. They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that. How can you reassure the American people that you are up to the task and that there won't be more bad nights at a debate stage or somewhere else?
First thing
Like right now.
about Zelensky asking for the ability to strike deep into Russia. We've allowed Zelensky to use American weapons in the near term, in the near or abroad, into Russia.
What?
Whether or not he should be attacked. For example,
45.
Zelensky, he's not. But if he had the capacity to strike Moscow, strike the Kremlin, would that make sense? It wouldn't. The question is, what's the best use of the weaponry he has, and the weaponry we're getting to him? I've gotten him more long-range capacity, as well as defensive capacity. And so our military is where I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief, the chief of staff of the military, as well as the Secretary of Defense and our intelligence people. And we're making a day-to-day basis on what they should go, how far they should go in. That's a logical thing to do. Second question related to
Bad nights, sir. How can you
God.
reassure the American people that you won't have more bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage
Like
or it's
right
a matter
now.
of foreign policy?
Well, I tell you what, the best way to assure them is the way I assure myself. And that is, am I getting the job done? Am I getting the job done? Can you name me somebody who's gotten more major piece of legislation passed in 3.5 years? I created 2,000 jobs just last week.
Oh, you did?
So if I slow down, I can't get the job done. That's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it. But there's no indication of that yet. None.
I'm catching hell for my wife. You're going to hear that a
What
lot.
I got here.
The silence is deafening in that room.
Merrick, Pulaski Radio.
Thank you, Mr. President. How are you?
Oh,
I'm well.
no, you're not.
The elections in the US have consequences around the world. You have pretty high standing in Europe. I just asked President Macron about you, and he said we are happy to have him as the President of the United States.
I bet you are.
But there's a concern. Many people in Poland and across Europe are worried that the former president may win the election.
No.
And there's a lot of concern that Donald Trump may weaken NATO, stop supporting Ukraine, or push Ukraine to give up territories to Russia.
They're correct.
And yourself was warning just 2 minutes ago about it. So my question is, do you think that Europe will be left on its own if Donald Trump wins the election? And what's
Set
your
up.
advice to European leaders to prepare for possible US disengagement?
Well, look, I think, how can I say this without sounding too self-serving?
Yeah.
I'm not having any of my European allies come up to me and say, Joe, don't run. What I hear them say is, you've got to win.
No, just your people.
You can't let this guy come forward. It'd be a disaster. It'd be a disaster. I mean, I think he said in one of his rallies, don't hold me to this recently.
Don't hold me to this.
Where NATO,
Yeah.
I just learned about NATO or something to that effect.
Come on.
Foreign policy has never been his strong point. And he seems to have an affinity to people who are authoritarian. That worries, as I tell you from Poland, that worries Europe. That worries Poland. And nobody, including the people of Poland, think that if he wins in Ukraine, he's going to stop in Ukraine, that that's going to be the end of it. And so what I can say is, I think I'm the best qualified person to do the job, to make sure that Ukraine does not fall, that Ukraine succeeds, that the European alliance stays strong. You may recall, no one was talking about Finland joining NATO. I remember talking to Putin right after we got elected in Geneva, and he was talking about what we should do, we couldn't be in Eastern Europe, etc. And I said, you're looking for the Finlandization of Ukraine, because you're going to get the NATOization of Finland. And about 4 weeks later, I got a call. No, that's not true. Probably 5 months later, from the president of Finland, could he come and see me?
What?
In my office, and I invited him to the Oval Office. We sat down and talked. He said he wanted to join NATO. Could I help? And I did. It wasn't automatic. And then I got a call from the Swedes. I beg your pardon?
Oh, God.
And so Finland joined NATO. 800-mile border is a significant, and they were already allies, but they weren't part of NATO. And you heard, I think you heard, maybe, I can't recall whether he said it publicly or in our closed meeting, but he wouldn't mind it being repeated. He said, we decided in Finland, the people of Finland decided they had to be part of NATO. It was in our interest because of the joint ability to be together, to dissuade any attack on Finland. And the same thing with Sweden. It took a lot of selling to some folks, particularly in Turkey and other places, to agree to the expansion. But it expanded, and we're a hell of a lot stronger because of it. We're more secure because of it.
This is so bad.
And by the way, I was able to get 50 other nations, 50, to support Ukraine. 50.
5-0.
We were able to bring about a coalition of Europe and Asia, Japan and South Korea. I just we talked about AUKUS, and we talked about the relationship between Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, the United States.
I don't know what he's talking
We're
about.
making the world safer and stronger. because we have to deal with the new arrangement that exists in the world. The Cold War is over. The post-war era is over. What is going to replace it? And I respectfully suggest I have a pretty good idea what that should be. I've convinced a lot of people to follow it, and we're just going to get stronger.
This is a
David
catastrophe.
Sanger. Where's it?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Be nice, David.
What?
Mr. President, the NATO declaration that was issued yesterday was very notable because it described China as a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine for its provision of critical goods to the Russians. That's part of a broader partnership that seems to have cemented in place in the past 2 or 3 years. I think one that you were a little bit doubtful of when we asked you about it some time ago. So I'd be
This is so
interested to
bad.
know whether you have a strategy now of trying to interrupt the partnership between China and Russia, and whether or not in a second term you would pursue that, if you could describe that strategy to us. And along the way, could you also tell us whether you think, just to follow up on Felicia's question, that if you were in a room with Vladimir Putin again, the way you were 3 years ago, or with President Xi, that a few years from now you will be able to go negotiate with them, handle them one-on-one?
This guy's gonna kill Biden just with his question.
Well, the first part of the question is, we discussed and I raised in the NATO summit, and others raised, the future of China's involvement, what they're going to do. What they're doing with Russia in terms of accommodating, facilitating them, they're getting access to additional, they're not supplying weapons themselves, they're supplying mechanisms for them to be able to get weapons. And China's position is basically, and I've spent more time with Xi Jinping than any world leader has, over 90 hours since being vice president all the way through, for real. And by the way, I handed all my notes. But my point is that she believes that China is a large enough market that they can entice any country, including European countries, to invest there in return for commitments from Europe to do A, B, C, or D, or not to do certain things. What's happened is we had a long discussion about what we cannot, you have to make clear, China has to understand that if they are supplying Russia with information and capacity, along with working with North Korea and others to help Russia in armament, that they're not going to benefit economically as a consequence of that by getting the kind of investment they're looking for. And so, for example, we're in a situation where and we've reestablished direct contact with China after that. Remember the balloon, quote unquote, going down, and all of a sudden things came to an end? Well, we set up a new mechanism. There's a direct line between Xi and me, and our military has direct access to one another, and they contact one another when we have problems. The issue is that we have to make sure that Xi understands there's a price to pay for undercutting both the Pacific Basin as well as Europe.
What?
And as it relates to Russia and dealing with Ukraine. And so for example, if you want to invest in China, as you know this area really well. If you want to invest in China, you have to have a 51% Chinese owner. You have to make sure that you do by their rules, and you don't have the authority, and that you have to provide all access to all the data and information you have. There was a while there, as you recall, the last administration and other administrations, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in because they had access to over 1 billion people in the market, not 1 billion, but a lot of people in the market. And so they were doing it.
Not 1 billion, just
But
1 million.
that got curtailed when we started saying we're going to play by the same rules. For example, the idea they don't abide by
He doesn't even know what he's
international
talking
rules
about.
related to subsidizing products by the government funding. So guess what?
Something about China,
They're not going
Bluefish.
to be able to export their electric vehicles to the United States without a significant tariff.
A tariff?
Others are doing the same thing around the world. But it is a concern.
I thought those were horrible.
It is a concern that you have both China, North Korea, Russia, Iran, countries that are not necessarily
Guy, you did call it.
coordinated in the past, looking to figure out how they can have impact.
It was something about China.
Yes, I do, but I'm not prepared to talk about the detail of it in public.
This would qualify as public.
And I think you'll see that some of our European friends
This
are
poor
going to be
woman.
curtailing their investment in Russia. In China.
Good.
As long as China
Good.
continues to have this indirect help to Russia in terms of being able to help their economy as well as
He's done.
as well as help them in as a consequence of that their ability to fight in Ukraine.
What?
The other thing that we talked a lot about,
Russia's ability to
that-
fight in Ukraine? Is that what he just said?
and I raised it, and there was I didn't hear any. I can't swear that everyone agreed because not everyone got to talk about it, but we need a new industrial policy in the West. For example, we talked about how both the EU as well as NATO has to be able to begin to build their own munition capacity.
What?
Has to be able to
What?
generate their own capacity to provide for weapons and the ability to. It came as a surprise to some of us how
Some of
we
us.
had fallen behind in the West in terms of the ability to construct new material, new weaponry, new everything from vehicles to weapon systems.
He's
And
toast.
so one of the things that came out of this was we're going to be meeting again with a number of my colleagues, my European colleagues, is what do we do to increase the capacity of the West, particularly in Europe and Japan, to be able to generate the kind of ability to produce their own weapon systems. Not just for themselves, but to be able to generate that.
What?
It's the same, it's what Russia's trying to figure out, that they went to China and they didn't get the weapons, but then they went to North Korea. But we're going to be in a position where the West is going to become the industrial base
Oh my
for
God.
the ability to have
There it is.
all the defensive weapons that we need.
He's done.
That was a discussion as well.
He's so done. He's toast.
I'm not sure you answered on whether you would be ready to go deal with Putin and Xi 2 or 3 years from now.
The
I'm
guy's
ready
like,
to do
you
it
didn't
now
answer.
and 3 years from now. Look,
Oh, God.
the
He's so gone.
like I said, I'm dealing with Xi right now and direct contact with him. I have no good reason to talk to Putin right now. There's not much that
Drugs can't
he
do
is
it
prepared
all.
to do in terms of accommodating any change in his behavior. And but there isn't any world leader I'm not prepared to deal with. But I
guy's
understand the
done.
generic point is Putin ready to talk? I'm not ready to talk to Putin unless Putin's ready to change his behavior. And the idea, look, Putin's got a problem.
Yeah? I think we got a
First
problem.
of all, in this war that he is supposedly have won, and by the way, I think, don't hold me to the exact number, but I think that Russia had 17.3% of Ukraine that they've conquered. Now it's 17.4. I mean, in terms of percentage of territory. They've not been very successful. They've caused horrible damage, loss of life, but they've also lost over 350,000 troops, military, killed or wounded. They have over 1 million people, particularly young people with technical capability, leaving Russia because they see no future there. They've got a problem. But what they do have control of is they are very good at controlling and running the public outcry that relates to how they use mechanisms to communicate with people. They lie like hell to the constituencies. They lie like hell about what's going on. And
sounds familiar.
And so the idea that we're going to be able to fundamentally change Russia in the near term is not likely. But one thing for certain, if we allow Russia to succeed in Ukraine, they're not stopping in Ukraine. I recommend, I know you know this because you've written about it, read Putin's speech.
Read it.
After they moved in, what it was all about in Kyiv. It wasn't about just, anyway, read what he's objective.
Anyway. He's done.
Anyway, but so I think that I'm prepared to talk to any leader who wants to talk.
He's done.
Including if Putin called me and wanted to talk. Last time I talked to Putin was trying to get him to work on an arms control agreement related to nuclear weapons in space. That didn't go very far. So my point is, I'm prepared to talk to anybody, but I don't see any inclination. There is an inclination on the part of the Chinese to keep in contact with me, because they're not sure where this all goes. And look what's happened in Asia. We have strengthened
we don't know where we are
Asian
right now.
Pacific area more than anyone else has. We just put together with today.
They're going to call this rambling, disjointed.
That we
it's
bring
going to be
on
oh my God.
Group from the South Pacific.
Tomorrow,
Australia, New Zealand,
we're going to have so much content
Japan,
to break down.
Australia. I already mentioned Australia. And I met twice now, I think, with the 14 leaders of the Pacific Island nations. And we've slowed down what's going on there.
My wife's giving me hell.
China's
They actually said that.
But there's a lot of work to do. This is a moving target, and I don't take it lightly.
The next question. Thank God.
Sam from NPR.
Ooh, NPR.
Thank you, Mr. President. Asma Khalid with NPR. I have two questions. Earlier, you spoke about the ceasefire plan between Israel and Hamas.
This is going to get him in trouble with his
10 months
core.
of war, and I'm curious if there's anything that you feel personally you wish you would have done differently over the course of the war. And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign. I remember covering your campaign in 2020, and there was a moment where you referred to yourself as a, quote, bridge candidacy, a transition to a younger generation of leaders. I want to understand what changed.
Two things. Let's go back to
Hamas.
When you talked about would I have changed anything that's happening with Israel and the Palestinians and the Palestinian movement. The answer is, as you recall, from the very beginning, I went to Israel, but I also got immediate contact with al-Sisi in Egypt. I met with the King of Jordan. I met with
the comedy show is worth the delay.
Most of the Arab leaders to try to get a consensus going as to what had to be done to deal with getting more aid and food and medicine into the Gaza Strip. And we pushed it really hard. And Israel occasionally was less than cooperative, number one. The Israeli War Cabinet, I've been dealing with Israel since Golda Meir. I've saw some of the reporters around here cover me all the time have heard me say this. The first time I met with Golda Meir, I sat across from her at her desk, and her assistant was Rabin sitting next to me.
I think he's making this
That's how far
up.
back I go. I know Israel well.
I don't think this is real.
I support Israel. But
it'll be fact checked.
This war cabinet is one of the most conservative war cabinets in the history of Israel. And there's no ultimate answer other than a two-state solution here. And so what was able to be done in terms of the plan I put together was it would be a process for a two-state solution. And we get the Arab nations to, particularly from Egypt all the way to Saudi Arabia, to be in a position where they would cooperate in the transition so that they could keep the peace in Gaza without Israeli forces staying in Gaza. The question has been from the beginning, what's the day after in Gaza? And the day after in Gaza has to be, the end of the day after has to be no occupation by Israel on the Gaza Strip,
he's done.
Well as the ability for us to access get in and out as rapidly as you can all that's needed there. I've been disappointed that some of the things that I've put forward have not succeeded as well, like the port reattached from Cyprus. I was hopeful that would be more successful. But that's why when I went to Israel immediately after the massacres that occurred at the hands of Hamas, the one thing I said to the Israelis, and I met with the War Cabinet and with Bibi, don't make the same mistake America made after bin Laden. There's no need to occupy anywhere. Go after the people who did the job. You may recall, I still get criticized for it, but I was totally opposed to the occupation and trying to unite Afghanistan. Once we got bin Laden, we should have moved on.
I wouldn't have brought that up.
No one's ever going to unite that country. I've been over every inch of that, not every inch, the entirety from the poppy fields all the way to the north.
Oh my
So
God.
don't make the same mistake we made.
He's been
Don't think that's what you should be
in
doing.
Afghanistan
Just
from the
doubling
poppy fields to
down.
the north.
We'll help
Okay.
you find the bad guys, Sinwar and company. And all this criticism about I wouldn't provide when the weapons they needed. I'm not providing them 2,000-pound bombs. They cannot be used in Gaza or any populated area without causing great human tragedy and damage.
What?
But remember what happened when you had the attack on Israel with rockets and ballistic missiles. I was able to unite the Arab nations as well as Europe.
I told
And nothing
Caesar to
happened.
stop
Nothing
invading
got hurt.
Spain.
It sent an incredible lesson to what was going on from the Middle East. So there's a lot of things that, in retrospect, I wish I had been able to convince the Israelis to do. But the bottom line is we have a chance now. It's time to end this war. Doesn't mean walk away from going after Sinwar and Hamas. And if you notice, you know better than most, there is a growing dissatisfaction on the West Bank from the Palestinians about Hamas. Hamas is not popular now. And so there's a lot of moving parts. I just have to keep moving to make sure that we get as much done as we can toward a ceasefire.
Okay.
A ceasefire, and get those. And by the way, look at the numbers in Israel.
He's
I mean,
absolutely gone.
my numbers are better in Israel than they are here.
Didn't say a word about his
But then
bridge
again,
question.
they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway,
Bridge candidacy in 2020. You referred to yourself as being a bridge candidate.
Yes, he
for
is
a
coming
younger,
down. He's losing it.
Fresher generation of Democratic leaders, and I wanted to know what changed.
what changed was the gravity of the situation I inherited in terms of the economy, our foreign policy, and domestic division. And I think, I won't put words in anybody's mouth.
That'd be a first.
Most presidential historians give me credit for having accomplished more than most any president since Johnson and maybe before that to get major pieces of legislation passed.
Wow.
And what I realized was my long time in the Senate had equipped me to have the wisdom to know how to deal with the Congress to get things done. We got more major legislation passed that no one thought would happen. And I want to finish it, to get that finished.
But it's already done,
If
you said.
tomorrow, if we had a circumstance where there was a lineup and I hadn't inherited what I did and we just moved things along. Anyway, it's going to change.
What's going to change? Oh, God.
Haley Bull, Scripps. Or no, Josh Weingrove, I'm sorry.
Sure.
What's
Why
the
not?
next one? I'll do 2 more questions.
Oh, thank God. I can't wait to go to CNN and all the different sites right now for
many
this.
of your colleagues, Democrats on the Hill, are watching tonight as they assess what they want to say about your candidacy. I'm wondering
they're
how
watching.
you're thinking of this right now. It seems like your answer is clear, but they're watching how things go tonight, tomorrow in Michigan, next week in Texas and Nevada. Are you thinking that way about how the next week or 2 goes would inform your...
Am I using that way, you said?
Are you thinking that way about how the next 2 weeks go? Will that affect your decision, or are you fully determined on running in November as the party's nominee?
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I allay fears by let them see me out there.
Yeah.
Let me see them out, for the longest time it was,
This is
Biden's
it.
not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, anyway.
Yeah, you're not proving that at all.
What I'm doing is, and I've been doing, I think we've done over 20 major events, from Wisconsin to North Carolina to demonstrate that I'm going out in the areas where we think we can win, where we can persuade people to move our way, or people are already there. And here, look, the other thing is, we have the most extensive campaign organization of anybody's had in a long, long time. We have well over 1,000 volunteers.
A whole 1,000?
Knocking on doors, making phone calls, making tens of thousands of phone calls. We have headquarters, I forget exactly how many, I don't want to cite a number and then find out I'm off, but we have scores of headquarters in all the toss-up states. We're organized, we're moving, and that's awful hard to replace in the near term. And here's the other thing.
What's the other thing?
I was in the Senate a long time.
Okay.
Very proud of what I've done in the Senate. I was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee for a long time, and I was chairman or ranking member and chairman of the Judiciary Committee.
Okay.
I'm going to be going down to the Johnson Library. Anyway, I'm going to be going around making the case of the things that I think we have to finish.
So done.
And how we can't afford to lose what we've done.
So done.
Or backslide on civil rights, civil liberties, women's rights. There's that little button we have. Control guns, not girls. I mean, the idea.
Oh, God.
Sitting around, this where Kamala's so good as well.
Oh,
We're sitting
God.
around, more children are killed by a bullet than any other cause of death.
No, they're not.
The United States of America.
No, they're not.
What the hell are we doing?
You're a big liar.
What are we doing?
Big liar pants.
We got a candidate saying, promised the NRA, don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything. You got a Supreme Court that is what you might call the most conservative court in American history.
Some may.
This is ridiculous.
What is?
There's so much we can do still. And I'm determined to get it done. It's about freedom. And by the way, I'll end this. Well, I'm not going to do that. Haley has to come up too. But
Oh my God.
I remember I made a speech on democracy.
Did you?
In Philadelphia at Independence Hall. And I'm not being critical, just observing. The bulk of the press, what the hell are you talking about that for?
Exactly.
Democracy. You did. Democracy is not an issue.
What?
Democracy is not an issue. Except the polling data showed 60% of the people knew I was right, thought I was right. I'm not asking you a question. You don't have to answer, obviously. But do you think our democracy is under siege based on this court? Do you think democracy is under siege based on Project 2025? Do you think he means what he says when he says he's going to do away with the civil service? Eliminate the Department of Education?
Oh, God.
Make sure, we've never been here before. And that's the other reason why you say hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job. I've got to finish this job.
Oh, they're not going to let you, boo.
Because there's so much at stake.
They're not letting you, Cupcake.
We had some discussions over the past few days with your press secretary about
the
question of health exams. And you said you take a cognitive test every day in this job. Are you open to taking another physical or test before the election? Governor Whitmer of Michigan, for instance, said it wouldn't hurt to take a test.
Ooh.
Well, look, two things. One, I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist.
Well done. Right there,
In each
well
case,
done.
reason is February. And they say I'm in good shape.
Thank God.
Okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good. I'm tested every single day. About my neurological capacity to do decisions I make every day. You talk to my staff, all of you talk to my staff. Sometimes my staff talks a lot. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think you have them telling you that all the major ideas we've undertaken haven't been in part initiated by me. I remember when the staff, I said, I'm going to go to South Korea. We're going to get the chip. What are you doing? I'm going to get Japan and Korea back together again after essentially having hostilities toward one another.
What?
Since the end of World War II. I'm going to move and see that we can expand it. You know, the only thing age does
is this?
Help you with it. It creates a little bit of wisdom if you pay attention. And so the point I'm making is, I think it's important that if the neurologist tells me he thinks I need another exam, and by the way, I've laid every bit of the record out. I hadn't hidden a thing.
Oh God.
You ought to ask Trump for his, okay? I laid it all out. And every single day I'm surrounded by good docs. If they think there's a problem, I promise you, or even if they don't think it's a problem, they think I should have a neurological exam again, I'll do it. But no one's suggesting that to me now.
I am.
And I'll ask you another question. No matter what I did, no one's going to be satisfied. Did you have 7 docs? Did you have 2? Who'd you have? Did you do this? How many times did...
His staff is packing their bags right now.
I am not opposed if my doctors tell me I should have another neurological exam.
Like taking paintings off the wall.
But that's where I am.
Bye.
Bull, Scripps.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said you're making decisions on a day-to-day basis when it comes to support for Ukraine. Does that mean you have not closed the door on further considering lifting restrictions for U.S.-made weapons inside Russia? And if I may, your convention is coming up where your delegates are pledged to make you the official nominee. If they have second thoughts, are they free to vote their conscience?
Obviously, they're free to do whatever they want, but I get overwhelming support. Overwhelming support.
Not for long, Cupcake.
I won. I forget how many votes I won in the primary. Overwhelming. And so tomorrow, if all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says we want somebody else, that's the democratic process.
He just opened the door.
It's not gonna happen.
Oh God.
That means they vote for someone else?
Sure. Look. I'll end this with this.
Oh, God.
I served in the Senate a long time. I understand the impetus of candidates running for local office.
Yes, Guy, he did.
Whether they think the topic can help them or not. In my state of Delaware, which was a very, at least it was a red state when I started, in terms of we now talk red and blue.
Bye-bye.
I don't recall most of the Democratic presidents winning my state when I was a candidate. The truth of the matter is I understand the self-interest of a candidate. If they think that, running with Biden at the top is going to hurt them, then they're going to run away. I get it. But so far...
What?
Go and look at the polling data.
We did.
In our states.
Hold, please.
Look at the in-depth... And by the way...
I got you. There's the polling data.
All acknowledge, and you're all experts. I'm not being solicitous about the president. You're experts on this stuff. How accurate does anybody think the polls are these days? I can give you a series of polls where you have likely voters, me versus Trump, where I win all the time.
Oh
but
my
the unlikely voters who vote, he wins sometimes.
Oh my
so
God.
Bottom line is all the polling data right now, which I think is premature because the campaign really hasn't even started. I mean, it hadn't started in earnest yet.
Hadn't even started, guys.
Most of the time, it doesn't start till after September, after Labor Day. So, a lot can happen. But I think I'm the best I believe I'm the best qualified to govern. And I think I'm the best qualified to win. But there are other people who could beat Trump too. But it's awful start from scratch. And, we talk about, money raised. We're not doing bad. We got about $220 million in the bank. We're doing well. So, with that, you have any want to follow up on any of that you just asked me?
Yes.
You hear the room laughing?
earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision
Set
to
up.
stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win.
Up. That call is dialing right now.
No one's saying that. No poll says that.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, don't go anywhere. I gotta go find something. Hold on. Look, he's so happy. Look at him.
Respectfully, earlier you misspoke in your opening answer. You referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory.
Oh.
How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's.
Listen to him?
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Oh God. Okay, don't go anywhere because we're gonna find all the goodness. Hold on, you just give me a second. You guys don't go anywhere. Oh my. Guys, that was almost worse than the debate. Honestly, let me know in the comments if you guys agree with that, but that was almost worse than the actual debate itself. Guys, that was insane. Okay, so I'm to let you guys know, this is interesting. While I'm looking for something else, I'm going to keep this up temporarily. The stays category that you guys put in that poll before... No, stop it. So, I'm going to move over to here. Bro just assassinated. Yeah, he just ended his career, 100%. So, before that... before he started talking, you guys had him at 75 or 74%. I think it was 74%, 26 that he was going to stay. It has now fallen from down to 63, just in my audience. All right, so let me keep going and find some. I mean, that was the most staggering thing I've ever seen. End of stream. Okay, I may not be able to find actual.
Candidates running for local office.
Stop it. I don't know. God, no. I don't want more of that. Let me just look around. It was far worse than the debate, Carrie Stottlemyre says. So, guys, let me know in the comments, what were your overall thoughts on that? Because the things that stood out to you, right? Even that guy at the very end, he was like, so President Trump is making fun of you for saying VP Trump in your first answer. How do you respond? And Biden said, listen to him. Okay. Okie dokie. CBS reports Chinese warships are in Alaskan waters. You guys are savages. I love it. It's hilarious. All right. I'm going to try to find this. That was an abysmal speech. That was god awful. I can't really find it. Let's see if I can get something. I'm just trying to get some actual reaction to see if, because you know they're going to be talking about this because it gets awkward and embarrassing and uncomfortable. Nope, can't do it there. If we can't get it, I'm going to have so many pieces of content tomorrow going into this because, wow, that was
not a president who was shutting down the
right.
notion and the conversation, or a president that seemed unaware that his party is still looking for him to grapple with this decision, and they don't consider it closed. And I think tonight we saw him in a different headspace about this.
Paul Begala, what did you see?
I saw substantive mastery. I mean, my goodness.
Substantive mastery.
The world. We talk a lot, of course, about NATO and Ukraine, but about China, about Israel, Gaza. He seemed to have the substance really at his command. Stylistically, though, you still had the soft voice. You didn't have the kind of catastrophic failure he had at the debate, but you also didn't have
I'm
the
trying to
sense
get
of
the feed.
command
Hold on
that
a
he had at his inaugural. So the substance was great. The style not. He is already getting static.
I'm going to try to read this feed. Hold on a second.
Just get a name
Thanks, James Carville. So, Ashley, what do you make of the news conference?
I think David's a bit of a dead.
Ooh. All right, so CNN's blocking the feed. It's not letting me live stream it. so I can't do it there. Let me just do audio for you guys. He's done, by the way. Completely done. I'm just going to do this for audio just so we can hear, like you guys can hear it, because it's not letting me stream it over.
And his team have handled this situation. You know, I maintain that it was a mistake for the president not to go up to the caucus meeting this week, or not at the very least to call into the caucus. This is a family matter. He should have addressed it in that way. But today's performance was incredibly strong. It bolsters his point that he had a bad debate night. We've now seen him in a press conference and interview and at rallies, and he seems a bit incredibly strong. But here's the outstanding thing, Anderson. The president now has to prove that he can unite this party. And not just unite the party, but to inspire the party to get behind him and refocus our efforts on Donald Trump. And that's the challenge before the president now.
Jeff, you've been
you can't see it,
all
but
day
Anderson
on this. How
Cooper
does
is
the
staring
president's
at her.
performance tonight square with the reporting you've been doing?
Anderson, there's no doubt that he has a command of these issues, something that he has dealt with really for decades. But that really wasn't the overall purpose of the press conference. Just talking to a senior Democratic advisor who is in close touch with many Hill Democrats tells me this: I don't think anyone from the Hill is going to stand down after this. So the big question here tonight is, did this stop the bleeding?
Meaning anyone on the Hill who wants him to
right.
Meaning anyone on the Hill who wants him to go is going to stand down.
Right. Exactly. We've heard so many Democrats who've been saying, like, wait and see. Let's wait and see how he does. They have concerns on the campaign. This is unlikely to change the trajectory of that. David Chalian is correct in terms of us reading the tone. Not as combative, not as defiant. I actually asked one of his advisors about that. They chalked it up to the setting of NATO.
These guys are getting
when he was
texts.
at this press conference. We will see, but he definitely was even open to, at the very end there, a reporter asked if he was open to letting his delegates to do whatever they choose, and he said he was. So we will see going forward here if
he opened the door for them.
But we are in a very different place than we were at the beginning of the week when he was very defiant on Morning Joe, and he has learned a lot this week, including from former Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Those words and the fact that they are likely to speak in the coming days, if not tomorrow, that is going to determine the support among Democrats for him going forward here. So, yes, the press conference, I've covered a lot of his press conferences. It was fine. But tonight, fine is likely not good enough to change this.
They're smoking something.
Manu, what are you hearing tonight from lawmakers?
Yeah, there's signs that those calls for him to step aside are not going to go away, despite what Democrats say was a better performance, of course, than the debate from 2 weeks ago. In fact, just moments ago, right after this press conference ended, Jim Himes, who is a top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, just put out a statement calling on Joe Biden to step aside from this race. He writes in a statement, Anderson, he says that he praises Joe Biden's legacy, his record. He says it's because of those traits and in consideration of that legacy that I hope President Biden will step away from the presidential campaign. He goes on to say that the 2024 election will define the future of American democracy, and they must put forth the strongest candidate possible to confront the threat posed by Trump's promised MAGA authoritarianism. So that is in line with what I've been hearing going into this
I'm going to shut this part down. Hold on 1 second.
The 15th member of Congress to call for Joe Biden to step aside. 14 before this press conference, but there was an expectation there would be more afterwards. They were going to give Joe Biden at least the opportunity to make the argument, even if they had made their mind up already privately, and the discussion privately has been much more intense than what we have seen publicly.
Of course
and
it
the
is.
public discussion, of course, has been intense, but there's been so much concern about Biden, that Biden's not just his poll, not just his debate performance, but how that has been baked into the electorate.
I'm
and
getting
that it's
out rid of
something
this. All right, so here's the way this is going to work. I have a very funny feeling that tonight I'm going to do studying all night long, all the clips, all the reactions, and I will have them for you tomorrow. We'll probably go ham on these. But what we've been covering is all starting to show. More Democrats are coming out and saying, we want you out, Joe. It just happened. You just heard CNN say it right after that press release or press conference. My own personal opinion, that was god-awful. The amount of clips that have come out of that is insane. Everyone in the room was clearly uncomfortable. And We have got so much work to do going into the weekend, guys. Make sure you got that subscribe button on. Make sure you've got the like. And I look forward to the next one. And maybe we don't have to hear Joe Biden do another press conference for another 8 months, because, wow, that was rough. You guys have a beautiful night, and I will see you tomorrow morning with the reaction stuff.